In fiscal year 24-25 alone, you provided healthcare coverage for 623,365 beneficiaries, including 440,000 asylum claimants with expenses of $900 million. Does the department break down the number of people based on the groups listed on the website? For example, how many asylum claimants, how many detainees, how many individuals granted eligibility at the minister's discretion? Is there a breakdown?
Are you asking about eligibility for, I'm not sure how you're using the term eligibility there.
Well, I'm looking for a breakdown. We've got these large numbers. A lot of money is being spent on healthcare. I would like to know how many the minister, at her discretion, allowed this healthcare. I'd like to know how many asylum claimants, how many detainees.
I can tell you of that number, about 440,537 are in fact asylum claimants. However, as you will note, just because you're an asylum claimant, it doesn't mean that there's been a determination of whether or not it is a founded claim. So.
Yeah, I actually said that number, but that's okay. Do you not think it's in Canadians' interest and the best interest of the federal government to know what kind of people are entering into this country and receiving potentially better health care than the Canadians who are funding the program?
I'm not sure I would describe it as better health care.
I sure would. When I look at the amount of the billing that doctors are billing to that department at 5 times the rate, they are seeing doctors quicker than average Canadians.
Why are the Liberals giving bogus asylum seekers better health care than Canadians who fund the system? Parliamentary Budget Officer revealed the interim federal health program will cost taxpayers over $1.5 billion a year.
Those are projections in that report.
Deluxe health benefits like physiotherapy and home care to bogus asylum claimants whose phony claims have been rejected. Canadians are not entitled to them, but rejected asylum claimants are.
2014, it was this Conservative government that the Supreme Court ruled that they made that their changes were unconstitutional, and they took away health care coverage.
While the Liberals defend deluxe health benefits for bogus asylum claimants, millions of Canadians are waiting in line for care. There are Canadians in this country who can't get health care they need because the wait list is too long. Ahead of them on that wait list are people who filed fake refugee claims and were rejected by the government's own refugee board.
Canadians now spending $1 billion per year to cover the healthcare costs of refugee claimants. There's a simple solution. Shut down all forms of immigration. I don't give a flying what your status is: asylum seeker, refugee, international student, temporary permanent resident. Shut it all down. Zero entry for anyone. Redirect all resources to Canada and Canadian citizens only. Period. Good day.
Alright guys, welcome back once again to the channel. Now I've seen a very overheated motion and it's making rounds all over social media in Canada right now, and literally it will make Canadians angered, furious and outraged about this news. So it is therefore very clear that immigrants, fake asylum seekers and refugees are receiving better health care than Canadians, and not just better, but better quality health care than normal Canadians. And apparently, for an immigrant or a refugee or an asylum seeker to see a doctor, it takes a very short time. It's even more faster than a normal Canadian does. In fact, a normal Canadian has to wait for days for them to receive health care. But somehow, immigrants, asylum seekers, and refugees, well, they are receiving faster, better, and quality health care than Canadians at a cost of over $900 million that from a Canadian taxpayer. So in short, Canadians are paying billions and billions of dollars for them to aid or fund immigrants, asylum seekers, and refugees to receive better health care than those who are funding it. Those are not my words. Those are words from Canadians, from debates, from discussions, and here is what Canadians had to say about it.
Well, the madness continues. Canadians are now spending nearly $1 billion per year on healthcare coverage for refugee claimants through the federal interim federal healthcare program. That's insane, and I guarantee most of these people are probably not even refugees. Costs have surged in recent years, raising questions about long-term sustainability and budget priorities. I don't think the Liberals have any budget priorities. I think they only have spending priorities. And this is a lesson that we should learn over the last 10 to 11 years. It's to never let leftist lunatics govern society. It'll just end in a bad place like we're witnessing across the world right now. It's insane.
Trust me, give me 1 second because this is going to get really, really good. Did you know that rejected asylum seekers are actually getting better healthcare coverage than you? In fact, the Liberals' program is paying 5 times more the provincial rate for their coverage. And hang on because it gets better. So the Conservatives are calling for the Liberal Party to actually investigate this. And you're probably wondering, what do they get and what's the cost going to be? Well, check this out.
1.5 billion.
1.5 billion every single year?
I mean, that's the cost for that specific fiscal year, yes.
Yeah, every year for $1.5 billion a year for every single year. Correct?
Yes.
Yep. Okay. In 2016, the Liberals expanded this program to cover supplemental health benefits for asylum seekers. According to the government, these benefits include, and I quote, vision care, counseling, assistive devices, home visits, nursing homes, transportation, taxes, physiotherapy, occupational therapy, speech therapy, and interpretation services.
There's one thing I do want to clarify and be clear on. That $1.5 billion, that's how much it's projected to cost us by 2030. That's only 4 years away. Right now, it's on track to cost us almost $1 billion a year. And let me tell you something. I've paid millions of dollars in taxes. Millions. I don't have healthcare coverage that's this good. And I've paid taxes since a teenager. For well over 30 years, I've paid taxes. I've never had physio or anything covered. In fact, the benefits that I do have, I pay thousands of dollars a year to get that access. And when I do, there's max limits to them. And you want to know what makes things worse? Things have gotten so bad that the backlog of asylum claims have exploded by nearly 3,000%. And yes, as you can see from the date there, it's ever since the Liberals came into power. Guys, this is not normal. And in fact, I read that it's gotten to the point now where tens of thousands of them have actually gotten into the country, filed their claim without ever meeting a single government official. Not a border official, no one. It's all done digitally online. You're probably thinking I made it up, but here it is. Between this date and this time, IRB accepted 25,000 claimants into Canada without questioning them. Look how a Liberal MP tries to gaslight us.
Revealing to me that Conservatives went away for a week and tried to think of an issue, and the first thing they think of is to punch down.
Insanity.
Mr. Speaker, it's really unfortunate that we have this kind of conversation where we are talking of the health of Canadian and asylum seekers. The reality is those people are in the country and we have agreement. And our system, the health system is a compassionate system. So what we are saying is those people, they need to have access to health. And we are working closely with provinces and territories also to get more access to Canadian people.
Give me 1 second because this is really, really good. You may not know this, but I actually came to this country as a refugee. Yes, I know you're thinking, that's really weird because you've been speaking out against immigration. I came here as a legitimate refugee. I was 5 years old, and my family and I fled a war-torn country known as El Salvador. That was nearly 40 years ago. Canada took us in, we conformed to Canadian standards, and the only home I've ever known is Canada. I'm here to tell you that I agree with what Pierre Poilievre said. he put forward a motion to investigate fake refugees who are getting better healthcare coverage than you. This means eye care, physiotherapy, and so much more that I currently pay thousands of dollars per year to get access that's not even as good as what they get. Now, did you know that criminals who are charged that should be deported, they file refugee claims to stay in the country? This is the loophole that the Liberals will not close. So when Pierre says fake refugees, this is a perfect example of who you're paying for them to stay in our country with extended health care. What's repulsive is that the Liberals are the ones who throw the ugliest kinds of hate and insults my way. They throw words at me like illegal immigrant and refugee as though it's some sort of an insult. What they also don't realize is that I used to support them. I used to be a Liberal supporter nearly my whole life. Then they moved so far to the left, behaved so incredibly unhinged, and created an environment that is harmful to immigrants and refugees that want a good life. People who want to come here, work hard, and raise a family. And instead, they created a system that rewards fraud, all on your and my dime. We pay for all of it. If Canadians can't afford the luxury of all these extended benefits that they get without paying thousands of dollars every year, then why should we bear the cost to pay it for others when we can barely afford to eat? This, my friends, is the hypocrisy of the Liberals, and they will never win this argument against me because I am a refugee, a real one. That's how I came to the country. They ruined our immigration and our asylum seeker program and tainted the reputation for those who came here legitimately with legitimate reasons to be refugees. We should all be united on this. Our country is not better as a result. The backlog of our asylum seeker program has jumped nearly 3,000% since they came into power. They're doing nothing to stop it, and we are picking up the bill. This, my friends, is the hypocrisy of the Liberal Party. It's disgusting.
So you're basing this on future assumptions of future surges in asylum claimants, is that correct?
No, we actually assume that the inflow of asylum claimants will remain at the level we've seen this year, like in 2025. It's just that given the constraint of processing capacity, there's an increase in beneficiaries because there's more entry into the program than exit in the program.
All right, thank you. Now, there are some. One of the things we deal with in healthcare costs is, the short-term costs, the long-term costs. A lot of diseases that, if not treated earlier, can be treated at a low cost. A lot of disease processes can be treated initially at a low cost. However, if not treated and allowed to become worse, their problems become more complicated, much more expensive to treat. And this particularly, this would be a financial burden on our healthcare system if these people were to then, become full citizens and stay. Has there been any analysis of the potential consequences of removing these upfront costs in treatment versus the long stream costs of more expensive clinical outcomes in the future?
So that's not an aspect that's part of this analysis. I think it's an interesting point. In terms of the cost per beneficiaries, we're really looking. We don't necessarily make assumption about the type of care, the type of services rendered. We really just look at historical trend and project from there.
50 seconds.
Okay, thank you. Now, I just wanted to clarify. You said that you're assuming that the number of asylum seekers will remain the same?
So the number of new claimants.
New claimants?
Yeah.
And does this take into account the changes in the processes that are going to put downward pressure on the number of, as in C12, that are closing loopholes and decreasing the number of potential asylum seekers?
No, it does not, but it's an analysis we can do for the committee.
So as you can see from the speakers, they are trying to pin this, or they're pinning this on the Liberal government. And I somehow agree on this. You know, the Liberal government really needs to sit down and revise or revisit their policies. Some of these policies are not benefiting Canadians themselves. And if you see, these policies are being funded by Canadians' taxpayers' dollars. For example, Canadians cannot be paying up to 40% of their taxes that goes to healthcare, and then they wait in line. The waiting list is too long for Canadians to receive healthcare, even in emergencies. But somehow, they are the same people who are funding over $9 million to give immigrants, asylum seekers, and refugees better, faster, and quality healthcare than the ones Canadians who are funding it. You see, these are some of the policies that the Liberal government really needs to sit down and revise. Because as I always say, when I'm a taxpayer, it is okay for me to complain when I see my taxes being used inappropriately. I pay taxes so that I can get better services in my country. But when leading governments prioritize other things that doesn't benefit me, the taxpayer, then we are not on the same page. The Liberal government should consider revising their policies and at least come up with policies. I prefer to call those policies putting Canadians first, because Canadians are the ones who are paying these taxes to begin with. Even anyone on the entire earth will accept or will agree on what I'm saying. If I'm paying the taxes, it means that I'm expecting something from my taxes. What am I paying the taxes for? I'm paying for a quality life in my country. I'm paying to get certain services as the first priority in my country. But it will be so sad for me to see that the taxes that I'm being overtaxed, actually, they are collecting these billions and billions of dollars, and they're putting it in other priorities that I'm not benefiting from. For example, let's say we've seen a recent event, Canadian government, or let's say the Liberal government, aiding Ukraine over billions and billions of dollars. And yet, Canadians are struggling with housing, they're struggling with high cost of living, inflation, the homeless crisis is there, they can't even solve it. Yet, they're using billions that are supposed to sort all these problems to other countries. You see, this is the real argument here. It is not that immigrants, asylum seekers, and refugees should not receive this health care. No, but at what cost? Canadians are not receiving the same health care. You can say, those are not my words actually. Canadians themselves and the social media or the media houses are saying that immigrants, asylum seekers, and refugees are receiving faster, quality, and better healthcare than Canadians at a cost of Canadians' taxpayers' dollars. So in short, those who are funding or who are being taxed are not receiving quality health care, but those who are not, they are receiving faster, quality, and better health care than a Canadian. For a refugee or as an asylum seeker to see a doctor, it will take a very short time. But for a Canadian, the waiting list is so long. Why? This just shows us that priorities should come first. As a Canadian, you should receive what you are actually being taxed for. And the Liberal government should come up with policies that says we should put Canadians first. We should certify Canadians. We should render services. We should render services from Canadians' taxpayer dollars, not just prioritizing things that doesn't prioritize or care about Canadians. But, well, it is just like any other discussion, guys. Don't kill the messenger, kill the message. Tell me what you think in the comment section. Let's have a lengthy, beautiful discussion in the comment section. Open your minds. Tell me what you think in the comments, and see you in the next video. And remember, subscribe, because majority of you guys are watching my videos and they aren't subscribing. So today, if you won't subscribe this channel, you are a racist.